So Dr. Mike Rabow is going to speak with us about the MERI Center.
Fair warning, I'm not going to read a poem. This may be, first time in 25 years. But I thought I would save a little bit of time so you can get to lunch earlier. So that 30 seconds is thanks to me. Thank you so much for having me come talk about the MERI Center. I'm here representing our team. In the photo, you can see Judy Long, Redwing, myself, Maki Aoki, who is in general medicine, and then Gayle Kojimoto. I'm actually speaking on behalf of Redwing and Gayle, who chose not to speak, and that's fine. Happy to do it. But this is just a very, very brief opportunity for me to talk about the MERI Center, and I thought I would start off by showing you a picture of MERI. We actually have an acronym that MERI stands for, but I don't remember what it is, because it really, our name really comes from Mary Jane Block, who was a patient here at UCSF, lived with metastatic breast cancer for 25 years. So you can imagine she knows a lot about the doctor-clinician-patient relationship. And Mary always insisted, I need my doctors to know who I am as a person and for them to be there as a person as well. And of course, that applies to all the people who touch patients, all the clinicians and staff. And that was a big, big inspiration for us in starting MERI to really think about how we are both here as people as well as clinicians, and how everyone is playing multiple roles, and how in some ways maybe the relationship is the core of what we're all doing. So we launched the MERI Center in 2018 with a really, really generous grant from the Mount Zion Health Foundation. And we designed a program that was really focused on primary palliative care, which Allison was just talking about. The idea of thinking about providing primary palliative care to the clinicians on the Mount Zion campus. So very, very particular. There was a bunch of clinical programs. We tried to develop champions among those programs to do some research and do education and training. And you can see Greg and Breeze and Stephanie, who were involved in that sort of MERI Center 1.0 early focus on primary palliative care on the Mount Zion campus. And then George Floyd and COVID sort of happened to all of us, to the world, and we were affected by it in a deep, deep way, partly because we couldn't sort of go to classes anymore and teach in person, partly because we couldn't go back and not think and really work towards greater social justice. And so we sort of had a transformation around the purpose and the mission of MERI to include social justice and really thinking about palliative care for everybody, palliative care for humanity, not just for primary care clinicians. And Judy was a big part of creating programming around resiliency and around grief in the context of what is still going on around our world. So that's sort of all I wanted to say about the past of MERI. Suffice it to say, after 6 years of working as an education center, we are now really leaning in to some of the main programs that seem to be working well. So this is a good example of appreciative inquiry, where we looked at all the millions of things that we did, and we sort of centered in on these 5 things that I think we do well, that there seems to be some momentum around. And so we have ongoing workshops to help patients and loved ones do advanced care planning called What Matters Most. We have a program to teach practical skills for professionals as well as family and loved one caregivers around taking care of someone who's in the last stages of life, at the end of life. A big focus on resiliency training, communication skills training for clinicians. A really, really fun, for me, program where we got to just meet with everyone from the front office staff to the oncologist teams in GI oncology to really, really essentially debrief or process communication around simple things that are very, very basic and everyday for us, but are transformative for some folks who've never had a lot of training in that. And then lastly, and perhaps one of the more important parts, we've really grown in our ability to develop poetic medicine. So I'm going to talk a little bit about poetic medicine. We, along with some other centers across the United States, some of the folks are represented in the list of authors, have been learning about and offering poetic medicine, sort of a pro-social, interactive, therapeutic approach to allowing people to face difficult emotions and process them and perhaps express some truth about what is going on for them in the context of a safe community of others. So people listen to a poem. Many of you have done this if you've been around me long enough. Listen to a poem, take some sort of lead from that to inspire your own 5 minutes of writing a poem, and then if you choose to share that with the assembled group. Rachel Remen, who some of you know about, a wonderful educator and clinician, said, "Writing poetry together heals loneliness. What is true for someone at the deepest level is often true for all of us." And she said that way before we started doing this, but I think we're generating some data to prove what she said was true. So we've developed a pretty robust international program in poetic medicine. We've offered poetic medicine to more than 5,200 folks in more than 350 workshops online that are attended by people from all across the world. And we are currently offering 3 different sort of poetic medicine tracks or workshops a week. So there's a lot of poems being generated and a lot of poems being read. I have a couple photos of some division folks who've been involved in poetic medicine, Don and Pramita, and then Danny as well, who's been a real faithful attendee of poetic medicine. And I was given permission to announce that she's going to be spending some of her time apprenticing with Redwing and sort of learning how to become Redwing. I'm not sure how one does that, but good for you, Danny. I'm going to look forward to that. So that's super exciting. And it's not just limited to a few select folks in the division. Here's a screenshot of a presentation that we made doing poetic medicine with our division a few weeks ago as part of the celebration of our 25th anniversary. Super exciting to share that with you all. So I was talking about really trying to build poetic medicine, and part of that is doing the research. We have very early uncontrolled data, a convenient sample of a few hundred of folks who participate in poetic medicine, asking them how they feel after doing a poetic medicine course, so an hour-long session. And 96% of attendees said that they felt greater well-being as a result of having spent that last hour doing poetic medicine. 99% of folks said that they felt less lonely. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it lasts, but it could be, and it might. And it's super exciting. So we're really sort of leaning into that and really trying to understand exactly what and how the impact of poetic medicine is, especially around loneliness. Remember, our Surgeon General declared loneliness an epidemic, which it is, and has huge effects for almost all of us. And so we're really looking forward to, especially around grief and bereavement, especially for folks who are older, thinking about poetic medicine as a therapeutic option. But probably our biggest focus moving forward into the future is really trying to make sure that we can promote palliative care for everyone, and everyone is everyone. So not just the people we know, not just the people we're used to working with, not just the people who can make it up to this wonderful ivory tower that we're having the awesome opportunity to look out from and see the amazing view, but really thinking about palliative care in the community. And so our research work moving forward is going to be, and has actually started looking at how you create the safety that enables good things that probably happen in poetic medicine. And so we're looking into this question of racial affinity groups for poetic medicine groups. When we asked our participants internationally, more than half of them said that they would be interested in racial affinity groups if those were offered. And so we're starting to do some research with, pictured there is Sandy Stokes from the Chinese American Coalition for Compassionate Care, and Dr. Oden, who works with AC Care Alliance and is going to be our liaison with the San Francisco African American Faith-Based Coalition, to really try and figure out whether or not racial affinity groups make sense for poetic medicine. And so working with those agencies and then trying to develop training across the country for poetic medicine facilitators to really, really extend the ability for folks. Very, very interesting because we're just launching into sort of community-based research and community-affiliated research. And the very first thing that I heard from Dr. O when I was talking with him about our project and what research had just been approved by the IRB to do online poetic medicine, he said, "Oh, no, my people won't do it online." I was like, well, we just spent a year trying to get it through the IRB. But we're apparently going to have to change put in a modification for that, because we have everything to learn about how we can bring our skills out into the world and to the people who need them. So this is my last slide, really about the future. I really want to make MERI, offer to everyone to have MERI be a home base for you and really a community to work together around education. And here's a list of the major advantages to you. So number one on the list is Gayle. You get access to Gayle in a way that you would never have access if you weren't, no. Gayle is an amazing administrator, amazing leader in MERI, and really has been so generous with her time and her attention and her support for everybody. So if you have an education program that you'd like to think about, we'd love to think about it with you and love to think about whether or not we can support you in practical ways. MERI has a scholarly track record of peer-reviewed papers and presentations, podcast blogs, newsletters, poems, all sorts of things. So we can help you get things to the finish line too. We're hoping to be part of the division's emerging sub-specialty in narrative medicine, which you've heard some about through these 2 days. And we're a mission-driven, humanity-driven, love-based program. And so if you like any of those things, MERI might be the place for you. So no, in all seriousness, I really, really want to thank the division for hosting MERI and for showing the leadership and the support to MERI. And thank you all for your participation, and my co-panelists for doing such amazing education work. Thank you.
That was really cool. More than anything, I just want to first say thank you. Thank you to you all, Carly, Allison, Lydia, Mike, and Gayle too, for taking the time to talk with us about what you're doing and just for the work. It's really, really powerful. More than anything, I think I have questions, and we all do, but the only thing that makes talking about palliative medicine better is doing it over free food. And so with that, I think what we'll do is just let questions happen over lunch. We'll have lunch, and then we'll come back afterwards to continue.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, panelists.